Greetings and welcome to the Nifty Show. I'm Joel Comm, and alongside sitting in for Riles today is the one, the only Sir Lord Travis Wright. Hello, Trav.
Hello, hello. How are you guys doing out there in the nifty land?
Good to have you here. And I believe this is a guest that you connected us with today who's doing some really good stuff. You want to maybe go ahead and talk a little bit about your encounter with him and
For sure.
intro?
Yeah, I met our guest here today, Poonacha. I met him at in New York City at NFT NYC. There was an event put on by Meta Good and the On-Chain Monkeys, and I just briefly saw him speak after Chris Snook and I, and then I had to boogie over down because we had we were doing something at Radio City Music Hall later on that day, Joel. So that was the day that I met Poonacha, and they're working on something with Deepak Chopra and his foundation there on a project that is basically the metaverse platform and community for good. And so some of the things that I've been working on with, Ancient Wisdom and the Soul Shamans and the different project around that is like they're doing a lot of stuff, and they got a really big heavyweight behind them with Deepak Chopra. So I wanted to have him on the show and chat about what they're doing.
Excellent. Poonacha Machaiah, co-founder and CEO of Seva Love, SEVA. It's a metaverse platform for well-being. Poonacha, welcome to the Nifty Show, sir.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Travis. I'm excited to be here. It actually all started here at Art Basel a year ago, so it's good to be back here today.
Yeah. So you've got a background in wellness and saw the connection and the ability how web3 could help bring wellness to the masses in this new blockchain world. So maybe tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up here.
I started off my career in 1991, right? It was basically early days of the internet, high-speed internet. We saw what happened with video. I was part of Motorola, it's birth of the mobile phone. And really I saw this kind of what we all have done is that high-speed internet, mobile, audio, video, kind of addiction, all the ills of the internet, which is happening right now. Then I saw this movement of Web3, the shift between Web2 to Web3, where for the first time I feel, with all the experience we've had in the traditional internet, how do we create a more conscious internet? And the movement from this renter economy to an owner economy, finally artists being at the middle of this revolution. So my perspective, and Deepak and me, I'm also the CEO of the Chopra Foundation, before we took meditation online. The world's largest online meditation experience is the Chopra meditation experience. So we said, can we take 1 billion people to create a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world? And can we use Web3 as a platform to do this? And this really became the birth of Seva Love. Seva means service, and love is the only thing matters. And love is actually the operating system of Seva Love, which based on 4 attributes, we call it the 4 A's. The first is attention, deep listening. The second A is appreciation, understanding each and everyone's uniqueness. The third A is affection, love, kindness, tenderness. And the fourth A is acceptance. How do you use this as the fabric of Web3? That really became our journey of Seva Love.
It's really interesting to me. It's almost like, I'm of the belief that we are spiritual beings that's having this human experience, right? I'm really big on Nikola Tesla, how he said, think of everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And once I embedded that in my psyche, I really started diving down a lot of areas in consciousness, super consciousness, the dimensions, that we're in. And I think, wow, if we're in the 3rd dimension and there's as many dimensions as there are in an octave, we got some work to do, probably. Like if we're still here on Earth, we're in the playground of Earth, we got some work to do. And one thing I've always admired about Deepak Chopra is his willingness to explore new spaces, right? Mm-hmm. I remember I bought the app actually for my Xbox. It was called Leela. And Leela was basically this really cool meditation app. And I was looking into that. I was like, man, this has such potential once we get into a really cool AR, VR world. Like this kind of thing is going to be submersive, like immersive. Yeah. And it's really fascinating to watch the space and as it grows. And so I'm really curious about, what you guys are planning for the metaverse. Like, so you're talking about a metaverse for good and encouraging people. How do you envision the metaverse or the Web3 of the future?
Right. So I think when you look at Seva Love, our goal is to really create an inclusive metaverse. So I think we believe there's going to be multiple metaverses. Our metaverse is going to be horizontal. It's going to cut across multiple metaverse experiences. We want to help people with, I would say, 7 areas, right? Nourish, move, healthy emotions, mind, body, sleep, connection with community and nature. So when we help people do these 7 areas of well-being, you return everybody to homeostasis. So what this really means is that since you mentioned AR and VR, everything we experience in the world, this particular conversation we are having, it's we call it SIFT: sensation, image, feeling, and thought. When I'm playing Fortnite or Call of Duty or Roblox, it's evoking a sensation, image, a feeling, and a thought. And if you can actually work with this experiences, you can change everyday reality, right? If you just think about it, every 40 seconds we lose someone to suicide globally, right? This was
Mm.
before the pandemic. The second leading cause of death among young adults in the United States is death by suicide. So where are they? They're not
We need to
downloading apps.
outlaw. We need to outlaw suicide. That's what you need to do, right? Just make it illegal. That'll solve everything, right?
It's what's happening right now is that just we're in this turmoil right now. I think
Right.
what
So much.
we need to do is to kind of when you think about what's happening, I feel like the children are right now on gaming platforms. It's not about don't play a game. It's about how do you change the mechanics of the game. So imagine going to Fortnite and having a place when you're healing, you get you to breathe, right? And by breathing, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system. So what this really means, so on one side, we're designing experiences like the Journey to Self, which was an immersive meditation in LA, creating in real life experiences along with VR experiences. We launched a platform called Chopra Verse. It's called chopraverse.io, right? Where we're actually recreating Deepak's home in the metaverse, where you can actually go into the house and experience maybe a sleep meditation in the bedroom or a cooking lesson. And actually, one of you can actually bring up the site if you want. It's called chopraverse.io, right? We're actually going to create these called houses of enlightenment, we're calling it. But that's kind of our first, I would say, foray into creating this immersive metaverse experience. It's going to be VR, AR based. We're starting off with VR, but then we kind of go into multiple platforms. There's Roblox for children, and obviously other experiences as we build the platform. And
Yeah, I
that's kind
see
of,
on here Chopra
yeah,
Kids on
yeah,
Roblox, leveraging
exactly.
existing platforms to
Our goal is not to recreate. Our goal is to go talk to a Fortnite and Unreal Engine, go talk to existing platform, and just add in this well-being layer and this layer of social impact, right? And that's really what we did. I think when we launched, we said, how do we create community? So we went with Amelia Clark and we raised awareness for brain injury recovery. The second drop we did was we went and raised awareness for education of the girl child in Nepal. The third one we did, we basically looked at rescuing 3 bears in Mongolia. But we worked with Wisby, who's an NFT artist, and really got the bears, to be rescued and flown back to Mongolia. And these were climate change refugees. We were like, why did we rescue bears? And then we're looking at different topics. We're addressing topics like FGM, female genital mutilation, addressing topics like violence against women with a collection called Women Making Waves. So this is kind of our goal, is to look at community, going from audience to community.
I love it. When you're talking about the 7 elements of well-being, it's almost like you can utilize your platform as a proof of wellness, which would be
Yeah,
pow, right?
right.
And like
Yeah,
sometimes people need a little pow, a little proof of wellness. Like,
right.
did you prove that you did this today, right? Like a lot of people, if you gamify certain elements and make it fun, it's almost like some people left to their own devices are like, all right, I'm going to sit on my butt all day and not do, but I got this game. I got to do this. I got to do that. People will do that stuff for a game where they won't actually do something for their own well-being. So gamifying some of the elements of this could really be beneficial to folks.
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to launch this kind of a community. We're calling it Gabble, Gabl. It stands for give, if you ask, borrow, and love. If you have extra tomatoes, give it to your neighbor, right? If
Mm.
you can't walk your dog, ask for help. B, if you're going camping down this, don't buy a new tent, borrow one, right? And the most important thing, have love in your life. So we all want to kind of create this mechanics called Gabble, which allows people to build communities. When I came to this country in 91, what was amazing that I could go down to a community center. I could go hang out. Where are the communities? They all disappeared, right? Everything's become so transient. So I think we need to bring, we still have 10 toes and 10 fingers. We need to really bring community back. What I love about Web3, community, right? There is no middleman. It's we can create our own community, nurture it, manage it. And that's really why Deepak and me are so passionate about the movement.
Yeah, there's some really interesting stuff happening on the site here. What's the call to action? How can people get involved and get plugged into all the things that you're doing?
So it's one of the
Obviously,
things that from time to time, like example in Art Basel right now, I'm doing this job with City Kids, right? Which is a Keith Haring, the world's his largest banner, which is being showcased over here in Art Basel. But the why are we doing this? Is to really help kids understand that liberty is wobbly, that we all need to be proactive. Two, we're talking about art and education, right? One of the best things we can do is bring art back into schools. And so that's a call to action. Let's support this drop, bring art back into our education curriculum, bring it back into our communities. So that's exactly what's happening in City Kids, our drop right now. So the call to action is that go to Seva Love. We're constantly keeping our community engaged on different topics. And periodically over the next 1 year, we will actually share different initiatives we are involved in.
This is phenomenal. I love what you guys are doing. So whenever I think Michelle had reached out to me originally and was like, "Hey, let's have a conversation around what Deepak Chopra and Poonacha is doing in the metaverse," and I was like, "Yes, let's get them on," because I saw you speak at the event in NFT NYC, and I was like, "This guy knows what's going on. He's the head of the Deepak Chopra Foundation. I mean, come on, that's you've done an amazing job in your career, and you've done it in a very selfless way where you're trying to help others learn the power they have within. And I don't know that enough people realize the strength and the power that they actually have as a spiritual being in this human meat suit, right?
100%. We in Eastern wisdom tradition, we divide life into 4 phases. The first 25 is education. The second 25 is fame and fortune. The third 25, which is where I am in, is at 52, is give back. And the fourth 25 is who am I? Deepak at 76, who am I? Right? So our goal is to really constantly, look at, how do we kind of create this awareness? We talk about consciousness, right? I mean, the work we're trying to look at now is the role of psychedelic medicine. If mental health is a crisis and the traditional healthcare system is not working, are there new avenues? So working with people like Paul Stamets, looking at psilocybin, looking at new molecules for mental health, also for neural inflammation. From a foundation side, I'm focused on 2 areas, mental health. And the second one is health span or longevity. Right? People are going to live longer, but how do you improve the quality of life? The last 20 years of your lifestyle cannot be in hospital. You got to live nicely. So that's going to become a big focus for us.
I love what you just mentioned there, Joel, talking about some of these things that maybe were on the fringe even 10 years ago. Like people talking about psilocybin, like that's, psilocybin, you're a druggie. But I read this book recently called The Immortality Key, and it's by Brian Moresco. I don't know if you've read it or not, but he basically goes in and talks about archaeology, where the agricultural revolution was actually because they could make beer. Who would have known? But then women were basically taking the beer, ergot infused beer, neutralizing the ergot, and giving people this graveyard beer that was essentially LSD. And they were having trips where they were seeing their ancestors going to the other side. And so they had that quote, die before you die, so you live forever. And then it was wild to me how they were how spirituality and religion evolved over time. And what originally was, here's a mushroom and here's some psychedelic sangria, somehow it turned into, here's a white cracker and some grape juice and have a spiritual experience, where it totally diluted. And they kicked all the women out of the church. When Constantine came in and said, hey, Christianity is now the official religion. All right, these women, they're kicked out. We're not even going to put the Gospel of Mary Magdalene in the Bible. Like there was some, to me, it's like, it just seems there was some stuff going on that probably wasn't, what we thought at the case. And I think if women realize that, they'd probably get really upset how they got marginalized out of religion. And then if they were making any of this psychedelic sangria, now you're a witch and we're burning you at the stake. So we're coming around now, Poonacha, to a time where these things are more acceptable. And I personally, Joel's not, but I personally believe that if everybody had a dose of psilocybin once a year, we would be so much better off as a civilization, because people would be more happy. They'd feel more connected. They'd feel that they're a part of something greater. And right now, with religion kind of waning over time, people aren't having these spiritual experiences like they used to.
I mean, I think you hit one nail on the head. What's happening today? Why are youth struggling, right? I think there's a trust crisis. Globally, there's a trust crisis. What used to happen, people trusted God, parents, religion, nature states, CEOs. All of a sudden, today, there's no trust across the board. So what we need to do is to bring trust back. So when somebody's posting something on Twitter, on Instagram, or Snapchat, all hell breaks loose, right? So what we need to do is to build trust, and trust is only built through intimate connections, and that's why I go back to Web3. Web3 is about trust building. When something like what's happened right now with FTX and all of that, great, because it's going to really double down on building trust right now. What does it really mean to build trust? And that's where I think for us, it's time to build, right? 40 plus years of research, right? We can now go and prove to you why yoga, why meditation, or why some of these molecules are beneficial for you. So science is the new religion. So we can bring in science along with these facts and then bring it to communities. And that's really where I think we are really focused on right now. Everything we do at Seva Love is going to talk about social impact, talk about well-being. And, we should make disease optional, right? People should not die of disease, right? And if 95% of disease is because of lifestyle. And so when we are looking at the whole movement of Web3 is to really bring education and awareness into the ecosystem.
It is a lack of ease, a dis-ease, and learning some of these tactics and tools in the toolkit is helpful. Like when you go through and do some of those relaxation exercises, and I've noticed, like, if I'm going off and do meditation is becoming more of an important thing, is that you start getting connected. I think if you can quiet your mind and quiet your body, that's when those spirit guides or whatever's out there, maybe it's your higher self from another dimension whispering to you and trying to get you to do something while we're here, because we're a human being having a human experience for a very short time. So we got to get ourselves in action. And I love how you guys are helping people with their actions.
And I love what you guys are doing to also amplify. So it takes a community, it takes a village to bring up a child, right? That's why in this whole Web3 metaverse space, we need people like you. You guys who are amplifying, showing the light, and it takes a village. It's very easy to point fingers.
Now you're just swiping from Hillary Clinton.
But really, it takes a village. I really need to, and I think
no, don't take that village. Take a different village, not that one.
Just pick. 8 billion people out here.
You're right. There's so many people.
Maybe a couple good parents couldn't hurt either.
I do want to.
Unfortunately, there's a shortage of those.
I want to talk real briefly about this. I know we're wrapping up here, but the Maharishi effect, where it talks about how there was 7,000 Buddhist meditators that were meditating about peace for the earth. Only 7,000 of them. And then scientifically, in certain cities around the world, what was it, like crime decreased by 20-some%, terrorist attacks decreased by 70-some%. That's 7,000 people. So my thought is like, wow, well, how do we organize, as you say, a community of people who are attuned to meditate for certain causes at certain times? Because it seems to me that the Chopra Foundation has so many people that are tuning in. If we could find a way to activate them to do something, like, it can have profound effects as we try to weave through this crazy times that we're in. Because we're not careful, they're going to use some of this blockchain stuff for authoritarian means if we don't find a way to weave through it because of that distrust. We don't have it. So maybe that's a question, is that Maharishi effect blows me away. When it's so few amount of people can have such a big, profound effect, how do we do that at scale?
I mean, that's really, I think it's one person at a time. I think when I look at these kind of conversations, we look at today what Deepak had started and many other people have too. But over the last 10 years, today we don't need to talk much about meditation, right? People know meditation. It's almost like a zeitgeist, right? So from our perspective, we said we want to reach 1 billion people in Web3 because we believe that's the tipping point. And we say for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. That is the mission. That is the vision. Every day I get up in the morning, ask myself the question, what am I doing today to really live this mission? And then I think at a more granular level, we talk about joyful, energetic body, loving, compassionate heart, reflective and alert mind, and lightness of being. That's what we want to do every day. And that's how I believe if you have back pain, fix the back pain, joyful, energetic body. Second thing, love and compassion in your heart, because otherwise nothing really matters. Then reflective and alert mind. Then who am I? Lightness of being. And I think that's what every day, every conversation, and the power of, this, what we never can ignore, the power of human intention. The intention we set today is the butterfly effect, right? How do we as Seva Love become part of the journey for a more conscious Web3, for a more conscious metaverse? And that's how we call it well-being in the metaverse. That's really what we want to talk about.
And there it is, gang. Doing good stuff. The metaverse platform and community for good. Seva.love, SEVA.love. Poonacha, thanks for coming on
Thank
today.
You so much
for the spreading good stuff around. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Very grateful.
And we appreciate all of you joining us. And of course, you can subscribe, you can review, you can tell a friend all about Web3, metaverse, play and earn games, and NFTs here on the Nifty Show. And Trav, do you remember how we end the show?
Oh, aren't we like supposed to keep it nifty or something?
That's it.
Keep it nifty.
Looking into the future, what do we see? It's lined with digital collectibles, we call them NFTs. Games, trading cards, digital art, and those crypto kitties. Joel and Riles are the hosts, you'll know. Joel and Riles say this won't blow. They're locked and loaded, so ready, set, go! It's the Nifty, really kinda spiffy. The Nifty Show.